What is up, breadheads? It's your boy Mike Holland with One and Done, bringing you an early look at tomorrow's college basketball slate on DraftKings. We have a 9-gamer tipping off at 6:30 Eastern time. So here to kind of run through these games pretty quickly. It's more of a first look. We obviously have to look for news tomorrow, and of course, things could always change. But I got a pretty good handle on what's going to happen with this slate here. We've also got the college football season just wrapped up, which means we get bigger prize pools. We have a 5K to first tomorrow. So pretty excited about that. Going to fire some shells into that. And of course, we have, which you can see right above me at the top left corner of your screen, is the One and Done Invitational number 12. We got a link dropping right now as full-time 20 comes in. Yeah, man, full-time, we got a bunch of better slates coming up. And what better way to start off tomorrow, although tomorrow's slate is pretty weird, and it's going to get pretty dicey with the pricing. So we'll talk about it as we go. What's up, Darren? Appreciate you joining. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons. I think we're sitting at 1728 for subs, so make sure you catch all our content that we're doing. We have a live reaction tomorrow to the Vanderbilt game with me and Jay. Friday we'll have another DFS show. We're doing Sunday recaps. We'll have a Mountain West stream, I believe, next week on the docket. So yeah, lots going on here at One and Done. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. All right, let's jump into a quick overview. Pricing's pretty tight on this slate. Value really tough to find. It's really uncomfortable to click, honestly, as Jay jumps in. What's up, Jay? Hitting those fire emojis. Totals aren't great. 3 highest totals have double-digit spreads. So could get a little ugly here as Jason B drops by and says, what's up, Jason B? Good luck tomorrow. Zona Cats 22. That's who took down the One and Done Invitational on Saturday. Going to Disneyland, yeah. And I appreciate you jumping in, Zona Cat. And thanks for joining the chat. All right. So yeah, it's a tough slate as far as pricing goes. Value's tough. Totals aren't great. Have some potential blowout spots. It's not going to be the highest scoring slate. So we'll dive into the first game real quick. Minnesota +9 going to Ohio State, 145 implied total, which means Ohio State favored to win 77-68. When you look at Minnesota, the one thing that both teams, the one thing you do like is that the bench minutes, who's going to be on the court and how many minutes they're going to play. Minnesota 356th in bench minutes. They've really struggled offensively in Big Ten play. OSU defensively, they're not going to turn you over. Now they've been okay defensively, but the starters for Minnesota are definitely going to log big minutes. It's just the pricing. Like you look at Cade Tyson at 8,800, the highest usage on the team. I don't think I want to pay 8,800 though for Cade Tyson on this slate. Then you have Isaac Asuma, the point guard, at 7,600. He does have a 27% assist rate, some stock upside, 30 and 37 fantasy points in the last 2. Just not really something that I'm interested going to Ohio State here. Jalen Crocker-Johnson went off last game. He had 41 fantasy points, always a threat for a double-double. But again, the pricing really tough when this team is implied for 68 points. Langston Reynolds at 7,400 doesn't take a lot of shots. Yeah, every now and then he'll pop off for a big game. I wouldn't doubt that one of these guys has a solid game, kind of like Crocker Johnson last game, right? Like when they play 35 plus minutes, every single starter essentially. Bobby Durkin played all 40 last game. He's basically a spot up shooter. Wish he was $500 less so we could get a little more, of a price break and some value on this slate. But you look at all 5 of those guys, they're all going to play 35 plus minutes if they don't get into foul trouble. Spin the wheel. Obviously, Durkin's a lot cheaper than these guys. Tyson is the most expensive, so I'm probably off of him. If you want to pick between Osama, Crocker Johnson, and Reynolds, by all means, you can take a shot in the large field because you got to beat a lot of teams tomorrow to win 5K. So that's the Minnesota side. We'll flip it over to Ohio State, who's got that implied total of 77 here. They're 316th in bench minutes, and we have Noel, who's out. They're 5th in offensive efficiency during Big Ten play. Minnesota is definitely going to slow them down or try to slow them down. Minnesota obviously does not like to play fast under Nico Medved, 351st in tempo. Minnesota struggles to keep people off the glass, though, so we like that. They're giving up a 25% offensive rebounding rate in conference play, and they're also giving up a 16% opponent shot block rate. We don't really have guys that block shots on Ohio State, unfortunately. It starts obviously with Bruce Thornton at 9,900. He does everything for this team. He just doesn't provide stocks, so he's really going to have to score the ball well, which he can. Obviously, he can score 25 real-life points. He does have assist upside and some rebounding upside for for a big guard, as Darren jumping and say, yeah, high floor Thornton, absolutely. It's just the price tag. Like with the value, it's like, oh man, there's just other spots here in the 8 and 9K range that I'd rather go to. I don't really care for Royal or Mobley. Royal at basically a season high price point. I just don't see upside for tournaments. Mobley, yeah, he went off for 41, but he's usually a guy that lives into the 20s because all he does is shoot the ball. Doesn't really do anything else really shot dependent. So I tend to stay away from those guys once they're over 6,500, 7K. Mari Bynum sitting here at 6,700, more of a cash type target. There's just not a lot of ceiling at these guys' price points, even though they're going to play 32 plus minutes. Thornton could get up to 36, 38, maybe even all 40. Tilly, he is the one guy that's interesting. One, his price tag is obviously the cheapest of all these guys. Two, he leads the team in usage rate, and he has upside across the board as far as his rate. So if you're looking at one guy for Ohio State, maybe Tilly, but overall, I'm probably off of this game. So yeah, we're skipping along here to LSU plus 11 at Florida with this next game here. LSU implied for 74 points, Florida implied for 85. So we definitely like that. It's going to have a decent amount of possessions in this game with Florida, the 58th tempo in the country. We've got LSU just under 200th in the country. For LSU, we've got Dean Thomas. He's questionable with the foot. He's missed the last 5 games. Even if he's in, he's not playable because of the conditioning part of it. I wouldn't love that. Obviously, we have to look into practice reports and stuff like that. But I'm assuming here he's going to be out. Even if he's in, I just don't feel comfortable at 8,200 rolling him here at Florida. For LSU, they can't really score inside, but they're shooting the ball from 3. And Florida's 15th in SEC opponent play and 3-point percentage allowed. So maybe some 3-point opportunities here, but they're definitely going up against a big front court. And Markel Sutton and Max McKinnon with Dean Thomas out have really had to carry the load offensively. Sutton dropped the 40 piece. The price is up to 7,200 after the big game against Missouri. Feels kind of like a chase here. I kind of like how Max McKinnon profiles here because he's shooting 42.5% from 3. Very shot reliant, but he's played 37 plus minutes in the last 3 games. So he's going to fire off a ton of threes. Florida gives up a ton of threes. More of a floor type play though at 7K. Tom Butt 5,800. His rates are pretty ugly at this price tag. I don't have a lot of interest in him. We do have some value pieces now. If Thomas is out, they've been playing Rashad King at 4,500, 29 and 27 minutes in the last 2. He does have stock upside, which you like, especially on this slate. It's like give me somebody that's playing 25 minutes with some stock upside. Not much else that he does though. So 16 and 21 the last 2 games. I would take an 18 spot out of him in a hurry on this slate. You got Robert Miller at 4,400. He's in an interesting spot because that as Cam's saying, Nwoko, I never played Nwoko. I never will. It's going to be tough for him and Markel Sutton to go up against these bigs on the Florida side. So Robert Miller coming off the bench, 27 and 23 minutes in the last 2. He's blowout proof. Should have some extra run in that scenario. If he plays 24 minutes, I kind of like his upside of 18 to maybe 22 here, even though it's a tough matchup. We'll slide it over to the Florida side. LSU giving it up at 36% from 3. They're turning it over at nearly a 19% clip in conference. So we'll have some steal upside. LSU won't turn you over either. The 303rd in opponent turnover percentage. And the pricing for the big 3, right? At least the 3 bigs here. Thomas Houck at 8,900. He's played 35 minutes or more in 5 straight games. You love that. An outstanding offensive rating at 125 on the season. But he's playing the 3 this year, and that, like, when you look at his KenPom numbers from last year, they're basically all down, but the shot rate is up. So it's really limiting his upside to be able to get double-doubles, to be able to get, additional assists. And the stocks just aren't there because they're playing Chinyelu at the 5 with Condon at the 4. So just a lot of the upside from Houck and Condon really taken out here. You got Condon sitting here at 8,500. More of a cash target, 29, 34, 32, 35, 29. Probably not getting to really any of these forwards on this side, even though, this is a decent spot. If you want to take a shot at one of them in a tournament, we know they have 40 plus upside. Chinyelu just kind of takes away the ceiling because of his massive rebounding rate and his shot blocking upside. So Chinyelu at 8,600, he's obviously been awesome this year. Did not see that coming. Big rebounding rates. It feels kind of weird to click him at 8,600. I'm probably in a stay away, although if there's not much ownership on these guys like a Condon here, we know that he has 40 in his bag. Even Houck, because these guys have 40 plus. The game would obviously need to stay close here, and really kind of spinning the wheel to see which one is going to actually get 10 rebounds in this spot and be the one to carry stocks. I think the most interesting play on this Florida side is Boogie Fland at 6,500. Now we know Fland and Lee have kind of been switching off on who's going to go for 25 plus fantasy points. Last game it was Lee. The game before that it was Boogie Fland. I think these two guards for tourneys are really interesting, especially at their price points. Fland, we talked about LSU giving it up steal percentage wise. He leads the team in steal rate. And if his shot is falling, he can knock down threes, take advantage of the three ball that LSU has given up. And just in general, he can score the ball. Xavier Lee's coming off, obviously, the big game at Vandy. He does have 30 fantasy point upside. I feel like he's, more of a 25 to 28 type ceiling guy, unless it's just his night. Hard to trust. Both of those guys tourney only. For tournaments, I think the best point per dollar played for tournaments is probably Boogie Fland. So that wraps up the first couple of games here. Darren Chiniello, fast riser. Yeah, I didn't expect him to be this price point by midseason. All right, I like that. Cam going with Condon and Fland stacks, and Jay singing in here. Maybe he's playing Boogie tomorrow. Darren says to stay away from them. It's a trap. Definitely could be a trap here. We got 7 more games to go here. We'll jump into the next one, which is Oklahoma +2 at South Carolina, 150 implied total. Oklahoma, 74 implied total here, 216th in bench minutes. They are third to last in offensive efficiency during SEC play. But South Carolina's dead last in defensive efficiency during SEC play. So when you look at the rates profiles, this is a big boost for OU. It's for the big guys here, man. South Carolina struggles on the glass. They give it up at the rim. The problem is OU has kind of sucked on the glass this year, and they're dead last in 2-point percentage in conference play. So, what's going to happen here, right? South Carolina also gives up a lot of stocks. So you got to have some interest in tournaments for some of these Oklahoma guys. Xavier Brown at 7,300. He crushed Bama, big minutes in the last couple of games. He does get downhill, so I definitely don't mind his profile. He's not like Pack, who's going to take a million three-pointers in this one. Obviously, you get the price hike for Xavier Brown. Nigel Paxton in here at 6,500. Probably price committed, pot committed at this point because I've wasted so much money on him the last 2 slates and he hasn't done anything. But he's going to shoot a bunch of threes. I just at 6,500, probably a pass because I'm more interested in the Oklahoma bigs like Tay Davis at 7,100. Big minutes. He doesn't really have stock upside, but maybe a little bit of a boost because South Carolina will just hand you the ball sometimes. But I do like that he's converting 62% of his shots from close to range, and he also has a 25% combined rebounding rate. So both of those will definitely play against South Carolina. Darian Reed, obviously great in the revenge game last game. You can't trust his minutes. Tournaments only for him. His rates are just okay, and his price just went up $1,100. So I don't love that, but he's definitely in play as one of the bigs. This is definitely a spot for either Wagi or Elatonsev to go off here. Now, Wagi is probably priced out because they're basically splitting the minutes at the 5 at 5,900. But you do have to like what Elatontsev's done here. 4,400, 19 and 29 fantasy points in the last couple of games, 18 and 19 minutes in those 2, and he has rebounding and stock upside. So large field tournament, he's kind of an interesting click, but most people will obviously go to Jaden Jones at 4,300. He had 8 stocks last game, so if you're looking at why Jaden Jones scored 29 fantasy points, well, he had 8 stocks. Now, his rates are really good, especially his stock rates. He shoots a lot of threes, and he gets a lot of stocks. So, you like that, but he's usually a guy that goes for 14, fantasy points, 18 fantasy points, right? Which I'm probably going to play on this slate. I expect a lot of people to click his name, especially box score watching. I just think the Elatonsev for the large field is a lot more interesting. But yeah, Jaden Jones, obviously I'm going to have exposure to him. So the Oklahoma value guys here are pretty interesting. On the South Carolina side, Ellis is questionable with the ankle here. Oklahoma is 13th in defensive efficiency in SEC play. OU's giving up 54% from 2 in conference play, but they're elite defending the 3, only giving up 29%. So I want to target guys that are getting downhill. Michi Johnson loves to pull up jumpers and shoot threes. I don't love his profile. I don't love his price tag, even though he's been great at 31 and 41. I'm passing on Michi here. I am getting greasy, and I am going to Mike Sheriff Jumps, and I'm going to Kobe Knox in tournaments. Sheriff Jumps, this is a guy that profiles better, 75% close to percentage, locked into 29-plus minutes. He's 6'7". He's an elite rebounder for a guard, large field option. Then Kobe Knox, kind of sneaky, 28 fantasy points and 30 fantasy points in 2 of the last 3 games. He's at 75% from close to as well. So these guys are the guys that get downhill. Obviously a bigger guard and a wing here. I think they're in play for like a 5x type ceiling here. Elijah Strong, been kind of quiet recently. Don't love the minutes and where they're at right now, but definitely a large field consideration because Oklahoma not that strong in the front court either. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool tournament pieces in this game right here. So definitely going to have some exposure to it. Cam, yeah, we talked about Delatoncev earlier. Darren saying he likes Michi. I just don't like the way he profiles, although, he's going to take a million shots. Jeff Gagner jumping in here saying Tay Davis game. It is a Tay Davis spot, man. Like I was texting with some buddies saying like that. This is a spot where Tay Davis should just go off. Jeff loves some sheriff jumps too. So hey, man, Jeff won the Invitational a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. So I might be taking his advice here. All right, we'll go to the next game. Florida State plus 14 at Miami. Miami with a massive 90-point implied total, but we'll start with the Florida State side at 76 implied. Miami okay defensively, like they're giving up 38% from 3. Florida State has some guys that want to shoot the 3. Now, whether they shoot it well or not is a completely different question. Florida State at 14th in tempo, Miami 245th, so more of a pace-up spot for the Miami side. But these Florida State guys, like a 76 implied total is not bad when you consider their most expensive guy is 6,600. Now, it is on the road, but we'll start with Robert McRae. And this is probably where he should be priced at. He was sitting at 8K in the 8Ks for a while. He's playing 30-ish minutes, an elite assist rate. Just not a great shooter, right? Doesn't knock down a lot of threes. Just more of a cash type play because he has a really solid floor. Chauncey Wiggins, I don't ever play him. He's 6,200. Unless he was like 4.5K like the Clemson days or earlier this season, that's when I'll click on him. He just takes a bunch of threes, and every now and then he'll look into 6, 7, 8, 9 rebounds. If you want to play Wiggins, by all means, I won't be doing that. I might take some shots at some of these cheaper guys like LeJay Jones. He's coming off the bench playing the 27 to 30-minute role. He has rebounding and stock upside. If he can just make some shots, he can definitely play off. We've seen upwards of mid-20s type upside from him. You got Somerville, which I don't know why they're not playing him more. He's shooting 38% from 3 on 108 attempts. But only plays 22 to 25 minutes in a starting role. He's in the value player pool because we just don't have a lot of slam dunk options, but he's more of a secondary value. And also you have Kobe McGee sitting here at 4,700. Boom bust value play as well. Only played 18 minutes last game in a tight game. Has 25 plus fantasy point upside. We just saw 34 2 games ago and 28 4 games ago. So if you want to click McGee in some of these spots in the large field, I don't mind it. He's fired off 118 threes. So, yeah, I don't mind guys that are just going to chuck up a ton of threes. He just needs the minutes and obviously needs to be efficient from 3, but he can definitely pay off a $4,700 price tag. But the guy most people are going to go to, Thomas Basong, the forward 4,200. He's a freshman. Started the last couple of games, played 27 and 30 minutes. The rates are pretty weak outside of rebounding and a little bit of stock upside. I think he's okay value. I think he's safe value. I think a lot of people are just going to click him because you want to try to get like your 16 to 17 fantasy points at 4,200. So a lot of options on the Florida State side. 76 implied total is not terrible here. We will flip it over to the biggest total, team total at least here. Miami at 90. You're going up against the worst defense in the ACC play. Florida State's giving up 125.5 points per 100 possessions. Like, that is dreadful. They can't stop anything. They're giving up 37.5% from 3 and 62% from 2 in conference. The stocks are available. FSU is giving up a 17% opponent block rate and a 12% opponent steal rate. That actually matches the steal rate of Miami, which is pretty elite, 38th in the country at a 12% steal rate. So, yeah, these Miami guys are going to be able to put up a ton of fantasy points. You might want to get at least 1, if not 2, into every lineup and just hope it does, stays close. FSU also giving up nearly a 60% assist rate. So, yeah, it's just kind of silly. You got Malik Renew here at 9,400. You should absolutely crush these guys. His price is down, $500 or so. 32% usage rate, 27% combined rebounding rate, even has assist upside and a 6% combined stock rate. So, yeah, I wish he was a guy that played 34 to 35 minutes. He's probably going to play 28 to 32, somewhere in there, but he's got enough. Obviously, we've seen him at 40 before. Definitely like him. Trey Donaldson, a lot safer play at 8,700. A dud last game, but before that, 39, 52, 33, 31. That'll definitely play in cash games. it doesn't have as much stock upside as Renew, but obviously you got that elite assist rate. And if he's knocking down shots, he can definitely pay this off. You got Shelton Henderson, that's 7K. Love the minutes, 31 plus in 5 of the 6 conference games. Really shot dependent. More of a cash look, I think, at this tag at 7K. I wish he was 6K for tournaments, but not quite getting that. And I think the most interesting tournament plays are Ernest Udeh at 6,400. 29 and 39 in 2 of the last 3, and then you have the 5 fantasy point performance, which was the dud at Notre Dame. But you like the minutes have been a lot better lately. He has a 7.5% combined stock rate. He's the number 1 defensive rebounding percentage in the country and nearly a top 50 offensive rebounding rate. So he should get on the glass. He should crush these guys. There's putback opportunities, lob opportunities for this guy. He doesn't have a field goal attempt in the last 2 games. He went to the line last game, but he literally has registered 0 field goals in the last 2 games. So that obviously is always concerning when you're clicking somebody at 6,400. But if you're playing in a tournament, I think Uday's live for a 30 fantasy point day here. You got True Washington, who's really cheap, 5,400. He's just kind of the 4th option on this team. He does have a 4% steal rate, but he doesn't really do anything as far as peripherals. So he's going to definitely need to make some shots. I think he's more of a cash target. I'm not looking at him because, Donaldson, Renew, and Henderson are going to take all the shots, and then Uday's just going to gobble up all the rebounds in this one, and so is Renew. So just kind of a tough click, but at 5,400, I guess you could look at him here. So that'll wrap up, obviously, the Miami side that we really like here. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Checking the comments here. Appreciate you guys coming through as we should go over to North Carolina State +4 at Clemson, 146 implied total now. NC State 71 implied total. Clemson, the number 1 defensive efficiency in ACC play, plus they're 313th in tempo. Don't love that. Man, like NC State, awful from 2-point, 46% in conference play, with the 2nd worst attempt distance in conference play against the 2nd best team and opponent 2-point percentage in conference play. Probably crossing off NC State for the most part. I mean, Darren Williams, obviously, for tournaments, 7,900. He didn't shoot the ball well. If he shot the ball well last game, he would have gone over 30 again. So he's always in play for tournaments. I'm probably not clicking any of these guys. Because you're Copeland, like, no, thank you. This is like the worst profile. He lives at getting to the rim and getting into the lane. And this is not a team that is going to let you do that. Plus, he's only shooting 54% from close to in conference play. That's not great for a guy that profiles for somebody getting to the rim. So off of Copeland at 7,700, at least for tournaments. Paul McNeil, I don't ever play him. He's shot dependent. Vin Allen Lubin, he's been really good recently. Obviously, a couple of really good games. I don't feel great here. Matt Abel, no thanks. Arsenault, secondary value play. I mean, there's just not a lot. They're fully healthy again. Trey Holloman, if you want to try this again. Of course, what he did last game was paid off 5x the 3,200 that he was at, but he's 3,800. And you got 18 minutes, so like 18 to 20-minute Trey Holloman. Okay, if you want to fire some shots at it, see if he can get it going. He's going to have to knock down some threes. Every 3 he makes is nearly 1x. So if he knocks down a couple of threes, obviously you can maybe stay out there for 20, 25 minutes. So Trey Holloman, another click down here in the cheapy bin. You got Clemson at 75 implied total. Well, NC State pretty good defensively too. They're number 3 in defensive efficiency in the ACC play. Clemson obviously getting a tempo boost here, but the problem is the bench minutes, 55th in bench minutes, and the pricing. We've talked about this all year. And now these guys aren't even like 4,500. They're Dylan Hunter, 6,200. Like, I do like that the minutes on Hunter, Welling, and Porter, you're sitting at 6,200, 6,100, 6,100. The minutes have actually condensed, which you like, but you cannot trust it. Like, you really can't. It's not like Dylan Hunter's this big fantasy producer anyway. He's coming off a nice game. I think I'm good here. Carter Welling, 29 and 31 minutes in the last couple, nearly 5x in those games, but just kind of a buyer beware moment here. I don't know that I want to chase that, man, because we know exactly what happens when we chase these guys at 5K. Justin Porter, like, I would rather play Hunter. So, yeah, just not a lot of options on the Clemson side that I'm excited about here. Let's see. Gagner saying, Uday all day. What's up, Jeff? Corey jumping in here. Got to catch the rest of the show on the flip side. Appreciate the love and support to the single entry champion. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons as we cruise through. We got 4 more games. Make sure that you have those notification bells on so you know when we are going live. All right, we'll jump into the Seton Hall +9 at St. John's. Another ugly total, 145, because both teams top 20 in defensive efficiency. Seton Hall on the road here, 68 implied total. It is a pace up for them. St. John's top 50 in pace, but obviously really tough defensively at 20th in defensive efficiency in the country. They've, St. John's given up a league worth 37% from three during Big East play. The problem is Seton Hall can't shoot the three. They're shooting 24.5% from three. That's pretty silly. So nothing really profiling really well with this. And also they're tough with the bench minutes, man. 73rd in bench minutes. Hines, 6,300. He just crushed Butler, but he gets Zuby in this one and all the bigs from St. John's. So I'm not really chasing a guy that plays 22 to 24 minutes in this spot right here. Maybe if he was 5,300, I might consider it. Adam Clark, he's about $500 overpriced for this because you want guys that can shoot over the top of St. John's. He's going to find life rough trying to get into the lane. He likes these little pull-up jumpers. It's just not going to work for him. If you're going to look at a couple of guys, I guess you could maybe chase AJ Stanton-McCray. Kind of came back to life last game. He's the one guy that actually can shoot it from deep, shooting 35% from three. He played 31 minutes last game. I don't know if I want to chase that either because he hadn't been over 24 since the middle of December. So Stanton-McCray, he's another value piece there at 5,100. Mike Williams, he's seen 32 minutes in back-to-back games. I played him last slate, got paid off, 19 fantasy points in the mid 4K range. Now he's at 5K. It's kind of annoying. His rates are just okay. Shot volume's up a little bit. He's in the value player pool. It's just, it's not a fun click. You go to the St. John's side, 77 implied total. Seton Hall 10th in the country in defensive efficiency. They're slow as well. So there's not a lot of possessions in this game. Top two defenses in the Big East. And, St. John's, they'll give it up a little bit inside. It's just, Seton Hall will give it up a little bit inside. So you have to have some interest in Zuby Ejiofor at 9,700. Like, I think he's kind of a cool tournament play because I feel like he could body these guys in like 34 minutes here. And he could be like a low-owned pay-up winner that there's no reason to play him. Obviously, he has massive upside, so that would be the reason that you're doing it. You're trying to get a contrarian spin. Some of these 9K guys we just talked about, Renew, and some other guys here in a little bit that are just in better spots as far as a profile. But yeah, Ejiofor for Seton Hall that can turn it over, maybe get some socks. He can definitely block shots. He has double upside, so I think he's kind of a cool pay up at 9,700. Bryce Hopkins at 7K coming off the smash against Villanova. Price jumped $600. I'm not really feeling that. If you beat me playing Bryce Hopkins, then congratulations to you. This Dylan Mitchell thing has been confusing all year for St. John's. He played 35 minutes in the last one. They just played 19 minutes a couple of games ago. So like Zuby, I think he's kind of an interesting tournament play. Those would be the two guys that I click. I'm not clicking Osias Sellers, even though he plays, he's going to play 30-plus minutes. He's done it in 6 straight games, but he does a lot of his damage from three, and Seton Hall doesn't allow you to shoot three. So I just don't like Osias Sellers. He's got to get there with threes and assists, and even though they're at home, it's going to be kind of tough for them. So just not a lot to like in this game. Coming over here to this Indiana side, we got Indiana plus 15 at Michigan in the next game, 161 implied total here. Indiana 276th in bench minutes, but this is a terrible matchup. They're on the road. The only thing you really like here is that Michigan's 10th in tempo, so they're going to get a pace-up spot. Max Price, Lamar Wilkerson, 9K on the road here, takes a ton of shots. Not for me in this spot because this could easily be a 30-point blowout. Tucker DeVries is interesting because he's 6,400. It's been a weird year. His rates are down. Still locked into 32 minutes. And he's the cheapest he's been in years. So I don't really mind him in cash, but definitely a tough matchup. I think he would still play 30 minutes even in a blowout. Obviously Dad's the coach. So he could easily be in foul trouble in 3 minutes into this game, which he's done multiple times this year. Tatum Conaway, floor play here. It's hard to envision these guys with ceilings, even with this pace bump. I mean, you got like Connor Enright, 4,500. Like, he plays minutes, but I'm not recommending you play him because he doesn't really do anything. I think Sam Alexis is a cool tournament click just because he played 28 minutes last game. Basically taking the Reed Bailey minutes away, and they need his size. They need his rebounding. They need his shot blocking with these bigs over on the Michigan side. I think clicking Alexis or even a Reed Bailey, if you think Alexis getting into foul trouble and you think Reed Bailey plays 25 to 30 minutes, like, those two guys offer cheap options. Just tough clicks because they could be in foul trouble really quickly because Michigan's implied for nearly 90 team total. Now they are 63rd in bench minutes, which has been annoying. But Indiana's defense kind of middle of the pack in Big Ten play. They are giving it up from two, nearly 58%. They can't defend the rim. They're sub 4% shot blocking rate in conference play. That is abysmal. So yeah, I expect these bigs to absolutely feast here, man. Big Ten teams have been grabbing boards at a very high rate against Indiana. Yaxel, Lindyborg, Morris Johnson, Addy Mara, 8K, 7,800, 7,300. I think Lindyborg, you just kind of lock him in for cash, and then you have upside for tournaments. If it somehow stays close, we know he can dive into the 40, 50 fantasy point range. So yeah, Lindyborg definitely, you probably just lock him in for 30 fantasy points in this one. Morris Johnson, more in Addy Mara, more like the boom bust tournament plays. They could both easily drop 35 to 40 fantasy points in here. It's kind of spin the wheel on which one of these guys, because they take away from each other with their rebounding rate and their shot blocking ability. Now Mara has a better stock upside, but the thing is with that is like Indiana shoots a lot of threes, so that kind of makes me nervous, for Mara. But these guys should be able to do whatever they want. So yeah, kind of spin the wheel on which Michigan big you want to play. I think Elliott could do it at 5,900. Maybe the move. I don't know. There's a lot of long rebounds probably going to happen in this game with Indiana trying to shoot over the top. I'd imagine he gets Connerway defense, which is really annoying. He has assist upside, obviously, with the team total of 88. He takes enough shots at this price point to be playable at 5,900. I just don't know. He's never a guy that's going to go for like 40 fantasy points. So, I think that 4.5x is plenty fine in tournaments. I don't think it's going to be high scoring or anything, but yeah, I think Mara and Johnson are probably the best tournament plays. Yaxel, is probably one of your first clicks if you're playing smaller entry stuff. So that'll wrap up the Indiana-Michigan game. We'll check on the comments here. Darren saying Mitchell's a lock for a 30 burger. Are you guys going to be hungover after the championship win? Absolutely. Good stuff in the comments. We got a couple of games left here. We'll dive right into the next one. UCF plus 12 at Iowa State, 156 implied total. Don't like a lot on the UCF side. 158th in bench minutes. They have a 9-man rotation. This is a terrible matchup on the road at Iowa State. 72 implied team total. Themis Folks is 9,100, so you got to be kind of crazy to pay 9,100 for him in this spot. Riley Kugel, 7,400, basically a max price Riley Kugel. Boom bust tournament option. It's not for me with this type of team total. Not really interested in Stillwell at 6,800. And Jordan Burks, I know he's coming off the 27, but this is one I could easily see him, having 14 fantasy. This is one game where I could see UCF kind of using a lot of their bench in this one, which they've done in the past. So just don't love it. I really like this Iowa State side, 84 implied team total. Look, UCF, middle of the pack defensive efficiency during Big 12 play. They're giving up 57% from two. They struggle at protecting the rim. And also they're giving up nearly a 60% opponent assist rate. Josh Jefferson at 10K. Man, this is a good spot for him, but that's a lot. If you can find the money to get up to him, you get comfortable with a couple of value plays and you want to play him, by all means. He's currently number 2 on the KenPom Player of the Year rankings. Like, he's been awesome this year. He could easily go for 45 here against UCF. So definitely one of the better spend ups for tournaments. I don't play Momcilovic. I know he's coming off the scorching 39 fantasy point performance. He's just too shot dependent. I don't like these shot dependent guys over 6,500, especially when Lipsy is the exact same price. I think Lipsy is one of your first clicks in cash. Does have tournament upside, 24% shot rate, 29% assist rate, and also nearly a 5% steal rate. So yeah, Lipsy at 6,900. He's a guy that could easily go for 35 in this spot. For tournaments too, I kind of like Blake Buchanan. Like, he's kind of fallen back down to earth here. Man, if you played him over the holidays, you raked in a lot of money because he was at 8K at one point, going for 30s. So, you kind of look at it, kind of an interesting tournament play at 5,100. He just went for 30 not too long ago, but you don't really need 30. Like, if you get 25 from him, even a 22 spot at 5,100, you're going to feel pretty good about that. You can try Nate Heisey at 4,000. He's the 6th man, really the only guy that plays quality minutes off the bench for them. He's played 25-plus minutes in 4 straight. The rates, of course, aren't great, but he's definitely in the value player pool, and he shoots a lot of threes, so every three is nearly 1x for Heisey. So if you want to try that, by all means. All right, we'll wrap up the final game on the slate, get you some cores, and get out of here. We got DePaul plus 9 at Butler, 149 implied total. DePaul, I'm surprised they're implied for 70. I don't – this is a pace-up spot. Butler's 60th in tempo. against the second worst defensive efficiency in Big East play. So I'm kind of surprised. You find a team total on DePaul, I would, somewhere near 70 or at 70, I would take the over on this. Butler's giving it up 56% from two during conference play. They can't force turnovers, and they're dead last in opponent shot block rate. So opponents are blocking their shot 15% of the time. DePaul, man, they just kind of priced up from the last game, which is, the Marquette run up and down. CJ Gunn, of course, I missed out. He went crazy last game, got the massive price bump up to 7,100, leads the team in shot rate, does have a 3% block rate, which I would have lost that bet. Got at 7,100, though. You can take shots at him in tournaments. Like blocker, you can take shots at him in tournaments. He's the point guard with a 23% shot rate and a 27% assist rate. He also has steal upside. Just kind of a tourney options here for these guys because of the 70 implied team total. NJ Benson, I love his profile against Butler, but I wish we could lock in 30 minutes. We can't really do that. He does have a 4% shot blocking rate. He definitely has double-double upside, but they don't love to play him a lot. So just kind of a tourney move here. And then you got Brandon Macklin, kind of the de facto fifth starter, even though he's just like a six-man. The rates are solid across the board, more of a cash play for me. So you look at these DePaul guys, it's just kind of at their ceiling high price points. RJ Smith, 5,300, plays a bunch of minutes, just doesn't really do anything. And now he's over 5K. If he gets you 22, you probably feel pretty good about that. A lot would have to obviously go right for him to do that. And flip it to this Butler side. Butler's basically a couple of guys here that you look at, and they're implied for nearly 80 points here. DePaul been pretty solid defensively. They will turn it over at a very high clip, so there is some steal upside here for Butler. And they're also susceptible to giving up the three ball. They're giving up nearly 37% from three during Big East play. So you also look at it, they're not the strongest rebounding team, DePaul. So, yeah, these bigs for DePaul, like Michael Ajayi, I think he's one of the better, floor-ceiling combination forward spin-ups on the slate. He has obviously huge double-double side. He could literally go 16-13 here. And if he gets you some stocks, you're gonna be in good shape for tournaments. Finley Bizjack scored Seton Hall, got the $1,100 price bump, man. Played 29 plus minutes in 16 straight, kind of a really good cash play here. You can even use him for tournaments because if he keeps shooting it, like he has been from the field, you'll take the 30 spot again from him. So yeah, obviously Ajayi, Bizjack, love their price points for their upside. You got Drayton Jones at 4,600. But there's not much value on the slate. He's a guy that's shown that he can get to the high teens and in the 20s, just very limited minutes, 25 minutes, sometimes maybe an 18 to 20. It's just kind of annoying, but it's a good spot. And the bigs profile pretty well here. I don't really play Kaiser at 5,400, just not for me, kind of a shot-dependent guy. So, yeah, that'll kind of wrap up the 9 games here. Jeff saying, yeah, DePaul will pay Caleb Banks. They're just weird like that. Yeah, kind of Momcilovic night is a slate breaker. Momcilovic hitting 6 threes is that slate breaking night, so I won't be playing him. All right, we'll wrap this up real quick with a core. So our cash core, I think you got to look at one of the Miami guys up at the top. Really any of the Miami guys, except for Uday. He's more of a tournament guy. Trey Donaldson at 8,700. I feel like he's basically locked into 32 fantasy points tomorrow. So I really like him in cash settings. The Axel Lindeborg, it's hard not to click him at 8K. He's probably locked into 30 fantasy points at a minimum. Tom and Lipsy here for Iowa State at 6,900. This is just another good team total, a really good spot for him. He's underpriced by probably, $1,000 based on his, what kind of ceiling he showed. And then Thomas Basong from Florida State at 4,200. He's just going to play 27 to 30 minutes in that front court. Safe play there. So that is the old cash core, as Darren likes to say, the J safe cash core there. And then we'll jump into this tourney core. Now, preface this by saying, you talked about Donaldson. We talked about, obviously, Renew, Uday, those guys for tournaments, obviously a 90 implied team total. I kind of went with guys in each tier that are a little different. I like Ajayi again at 9,800. I just feel like it's a really good spot against DePaul. We just talked about him at 9,800. Boogie Fland, I think he profiles really well in this spot here at 6,500 for Florida. I think you have to look at one of these South Carolina guards that get downhill like Knox or Sheriff Jumps. They're bigger guys that have rebounding upside. They can also challenge the rim, which is where Oklahoma gives it up. They're both converting right around 75% from close to. So yeah, I like using either one of those guys, kind of in that mid tier, and then one of the Oklahoma values, Jones at 4,300. Even though it feels a little bit like a chase, but good profile, shoots threes and gets stocks. You like that at 4,300. Ella Thompson at 4,400. Like Oklahoma, just giving it up inside. He's looked really good in the last couple of games. So that'll wrap up everything for tonight. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons. Appreciate it. Tried to get out here in 30, but you know how it goes. Get to talking. 9-game slate here. Make sure you join the One and Done Invitational number 12. It is posted. We're going to try to get 40 people filled into this. And we usually do 30. Ain't nothing else going on. College football's over. NFL's closing up here pretty soon. We got 5K to first tomorrow. So, hope to see a lot of people in there. Jay giving the old salute. Absolutely. Hope you guys win everything that's not a tournament that I'm in, or at least you come in second behind me. But no, I appreciate all the love and support with this one. Make sure you either click the link in the chat there, or you use the QR code up at the top. Jeff, appreciate it, man. Darren, thanks. Who else we have in here tonight? Corey, appreciate it. If you're listening in the morning to the rest of it. Cam, as always, diving in here. We had Jason B, full-time. Appreciate all the love and support. We have a live reaction show tomorrow for the Vandy, Arkansas game. So looking forward to doing that. Jay will be back on. Outside of that, make sure you hit all those buttons, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.